Hi, it's Mike Hewitson again. It's what day of the week is it? Wednesday. And we're still none the wiser about the details of the delivery service. There still seems to be no further detail about resources. Beggars belief, really. We're at a point where the wholesale bills for this month will be landing. Wages will be paid for this month, and then beyond that, who knows? Who knows? Wholesale costs are rising all the time at the moment, and I don't know whether there's going to be any cavalry coming over the hill, or whether I'm just spending money that we don't have to keep a service going for people who don't care. I just don't know. We need action. I'm really gutted at the lack of leadership across pharmacy right now. I'm sure organisations are trying their best, but nobody is stepping forward. There are a few notable exceptions to that. Rena Barai has done an absolutely fantastic job. As far as I'm concerned, she's done an amazing job of trying to drive the sector forward at this time. I don't know, I couldn't honestly tell you who from any of the other organisations is doing anything of any note. I've heard a few talking heads on the radio this morning who are offering nothing but platitudes and no solutions. Until we can define what the problems are, and for those of us on the front lines every day, you know, we've got a fairly good idea of what the problems are. Until we can define what those problems are, it's difficult to say exactly what support we need. But first and foremost, it's money. It's a commitment to reimburse our costs. You know, we've already spent, you know, I think it's probably in excess of about 8,000 now on additional staffing, exceptional costs to try and keep our people safe. We're still none the wiser about enhanced PPE. And a phone call from my mum last night. She's asked me to check in with her daily right now, but she's telling me that on the news they were saying that pharmacies will be having extra protective equipment. News to me. I've not heard any of that anywhere. I don't really understand what's going on. Communication has been appalling. I'm sure that people are trying their best. They're working hard, but I don't need a 17-page letter. I need it in 5 minutes on a video. I don't want lots of stuff. I need the headlines right now. So my management bandwidth, so we've got 2 pharmacies, and we've got I've only got 24 hours in a day, and I'm spending at least 12, if not more, of those hours working every day at the moment. So I don't quite understand where I'm going to get the time to read all the wonderful things that are being sent to me. I desperately need to get 5 minutes to read the updated standard operating procedure that NHS England sent out on Sunday. I don't know when that is. I can either sleep or I can read it. Situation out here is pretty dire. I did a tour of our neighbouring pharmacies yesterday because I was being a second pharmacist, and there were queues of 10, 15 people. They were both opening later than normal, which is fine. You know, I understand why they're doing that. But there were huge queues. So I stood outside the one pharmacy and rang the pharmacist and said, look, you know, how are you doing? What problems are you having? Is there anything I can help you with? We had a good chat. And likewise, I went in to see another colleague. And as I was in there, it was a 1-in, 1-out policy. And there was some person waiting in a queue gesticulating in the window as to why it was taking so long. And look, you know, we have to have professional to professional communication right now. Pharmacy is isolated. We're lacking leadership across the whole system. You know, I know the pharmacists in the pharmacies are doing a good job, the best job that they possibly can do right now. But honestly, the the lack of leadership is really concerning for me. You know, I'm seeing people sort of deferring to phantom area managers who, I don't know, they've made no attempt to communicate, no attempt to let anyone know who they are, and it's unfortunately it's the independents across the system who are picking up the brunt. You know, with deliveries coming left, right, and centre from other from patients from other places, and you know, it's us that is going to end up sort of killing ourselves to try and maintain a service to people. I want to know where the cavalry are. I want to know who's providing the things that that we do need right now, which are resources. We need some money to make sure that we can pay the bills. You know, even though we're open, you know, we're still losing. We've lost our over-the-counter revenues largely. So that means that there's going to be a massive cash flow hole. So, you know, government, when you eventually get around to telling us what the support package for SMEs looks like, it might be too late. You know, we might have already run out of bills. I've heard lots of stories of colleagues bumping up against their mainline wholesaler credit limits. You know, and if you hit your credit limit, guess what? You're not getting any more drugs. And if you're not getting any drugs, then neither are your patients. So, you know, we all need to be absolutely clear right now that there is an urgent need for cash. There is an urgent need for certainty that our costs are going to be reimbursed. Because although Simon Stevens has written out to the whole of the NHS, because there's no trust between us and NHS England, I can just see them reneging on that down the line. We've got to have a cast iron explicit guarantee that our costs are going to be reimbursed. I'm also really conscious that we don't want pharmacy teams worrying about the bloody prescription charge right now. It's absolutely nonsensical that it's going to go up on the 1st of April from £9 to £9.15, right? But we're going to be expected to deliver medicines to patients in isolation, and we're going to have to speak to them about whether they pay for their prescriptions. We're going to have to administer the prescription charge at a time when frontline capacity is 0. We've got no time to do this. So either the patient rings us up to pay a prescription charge over the phone, or we have to take cash through volunteers from potentially contaminated sources. And that's before we even get to the point of some of the people who were paying for their prescriptions, you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, now who are self-employed, for example, may not have any income. You know, how is that fair? This has to change. I don't know if anyone's listening, but we can't go on like this. We've got to have certainty. We've heard lots of nice words. Yeah, Matt Hancock talked about us yesterday in his press conference, but words are cheap. We desperately need the resources. We're fighting on here with little or no certainty that any of us are going to be in business in 3, 6, 9, 12 months' time. You know, I can bankrupt myself trying to offer a service to people. And so far, there's been very little recognition of the fact that we are under enormous financial strain as much as we are workload, professional, or anything else. Emotional strain, you know. This is something that can be fixed. It's not being fixed. Sort it out. Somebody show some leadership. You know, after all this is over, there's going to be a lot for us to think about. You know, we're going to have to think about whether our elected leadership is fit for purpose anymore. I'm not sure it is, but that's a problem for tomorrow. Right now, I'm trying to work out how I communicate with pharmacies in our area to let them know, for example, when the GP services consolidate. So the plan currently is that they will reduce the size of their estate, so they'll shut some practices in order to maintain a service in some. So you're sort of concentrating your resources as your staff resource diminishes over time. So one of the things just had a cat jump onto the boot of the car to say hello cat. So when the surgery's estate collapses, the pharmacies are not going to have a bleeding clue about what's going on. We're not going to have a clue what's going on in the practices. The practice is not going to have a clue what's going on in the pharmacies. So, we need to be thinking about working smarter and differently to make sure that we can communicate, because that's going to be the first thing that goes awry here is communication. It was already difficult enough. Nobody's looking at their premises level NHS mail accounts. Nobody's looking at that. We've got a group WhatsApp chat, but again, I'm not sure anyone's got any time to look at it. So please, somebody help me. We can solve some of these problems. We're looking at setting up a dashboard across our PCN to show, on a black, red, amber, green scale where the problems are. But I've got no resource to do that. I'm donating my own time to help out here. There's no resource to support it, and quite frankly, I'm just fed up. All right. Sorry that's been so depressing, but I'm sure many of you will recognise the things that I'm talking about there. All right, cheers.